spend a good amount of time on this show amplifying how centuries of discrimination and exploitation have left women and people of color poorer than white Americans. Just last week, my good friend Nathalie Molina Niño was here to break down racial disparities in entrepreneurship. And tonight she's back to talk about a new venture called Known Holdings. It's a company that aims to help Black, Indigenous, Latinx, and other communities of color build wealth. Welcome back, Nathalie, and congratulations on your new venture. Please tell us more about Known. I'm so excited for the launch and that the cat is out the bag. Tell us what it's committed to doing.
The cat is in fact out the bag. There are so few things it feels like to be excited about and to celebrate that I have to say I'm so excited about this, and I'm excited to sort of tell the world about it. We've been working on it for almost 2 years. And it's right. What you said was right. It's a mothership. The idea is that there are so many Black and brown owned everything, whether it be mortgage brokerages, whether it be banks, whether it be wealth managers. We exist in all areas of finance. But the one thing that we all have in common is that we are generally subscale. And when you are the first and the only and the pioneer and nobody's got your back, it's pretty tough to grow and scale and be to the size of, say, being able to compete with the Chases of the world or the Vanguards or the Fidelities of the world and all of the big giants in the financial services space who, let's be real, power the world. And so what we're building is essentially a mothership to support every single BIPOC-owned financial services enterprise in the world that we believe has the potential to become the monster competitors to ultimately manage and own the economy that we drive, right? I think that you and I have talked about this before. Just the Black and Latinx community power an economy that is $3.9 trillion and would be the fourth largest in the world. And yet we manage less than 2% of the world's money. And that's the thing that we're trying to fix.
So tell us a little bit about how you fix that. I mean, for people who aren't finance folks who are listening in, they're like, oh, well, what do you mean try to compete against the big guys? How come, new American majority businesses can't compete against a Goldman Sachs? And there's something about scale or about, where you have to be, whether you're small cap, mid cap, et cetera, in order to warrant investment from the big guys. That's a little bit complicated, but it's important for you to share kind of how the mechanics of this work so people understand the disparity and how we often get left behind.
Yeah, and I think, one thing that I want to put out there is that what BIPOC-owned businesses need is no different than what anybody else needs to be successful. It's just that the systems are in place. One of the things that I often observe is that the financial organizations that drive the economy today, almost without exception, were spin-offs of some mothership, either formally because they were a subsidiary of something that got spun off of something bigger, or informally, and it was somebody like Schwartzman, the founder of Blackstone, right, giving some money to Larry Fink, the founder of BlackRock, and saying, here you go, here's some money. And by the way, in addition to that, like any good mentor, the money comes with advice. The money comes with the halo effect of being able to have somebody backing you like that. The money comes with, hey, you need some lawyers, you need some lobbyists in Washington, D.C., whatever you need, a mothership provides to a new burgeoning business. And without having a mothership dedicated to BIPOC-owned businesses, we're on our own. And we're having to compete with people without the same infrastructure and support that the majority population have always had.
Wow. So you creating a mothership for all of us. That's amazing and going to be so profound and impactful. Can you tell us a bit about the services that this company might provide as people are just trying to wrap their head around how to be engaged with Known?
Yes, look, it varies from the tactical things like the accounting and the compliance and the sort of thing that is the back office infrastructure that's needed to stand up a financial services business. But it also is some of the front of the house, right? It's the fundraising, it's the business development, it's the branding, it's the marketing and the positioning that is needed in order to be on the map and being able to compete and having the world know that you exist. A lot of the times, think about it, finance people, you can't possibly be good at absolutely every aspect of a business. And so we want people to, as my business partner, Jim Castleberry, often says, we want people to stay in their lane of genius, to do that thing that they do beautifully well, and to be responsible for taking off their shoulders these other things that are not necessarily in their lane of genius. We want people to focus on growing and becoming the next monster businesses. Because the thing that I think venture capital and Silicon Valley often forgets, because we're so focused on these businesses becoming unicorns, is that little businesses, if they want and if they have the right support, can become mid-sized businesses. And mid-sized businesses, again, with the right support and capital, can become monster, massive global giants. We've forgotten that. And the thing is we not only remember that, but we know what tools you need in order to go down that path of small to mid to large. And we're going to be singularly focused on the people that A, power the economy, but B, have been largely left out of these conversations and of these resources. And we're pretty unapologetic about what we're focusing on because, as any good investor will tell you, the best investments are in the undervalued assets.
Though I was reading the article in Bloomberg yesterday about the launch of Known, and something interesting struck me that it alluded to. So it talked about how these big, corporations are so focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and trying to figure out how they're going to manage their HR and get more brown people at the top, and then also trying to figure out how they're going to navigate the culture to make sure that brown people feel comfortable and others feel comfortable. And Known doesn't think about diversity at all, because as a company that is for and by and about the new American majority, it doesn't necessarily have to. I would love for you to talk a little bit about that and how what you're doing is really an antidote, perhaps, to all of the billions and trillions of dollars that are spent in the finance industry on diversity, equity, and inclusion.
I want to be clear that it's not that representation doesn't matter, right? It's not that it doesn't matter that we have people of color at the helm of Fortune 50 companies, and that it doesn't matter that we sit on the boards of these big companies. But my concern is that we have been so distracted and almost, the conversation has been monopolized by strictly conversations of representation. What we care about is ownership. And so it's not to say that it doesn't matter that a person of color might sit on a board or might be prominently featured on somebody's website. What we care about is meaningful ownership in the companies that run the economy. And so that's our lane. We're going to focus on ownership. We're going to focus on what percentage of the company, what percentage of the revenue, what percentage of the things that build multi-generational wealth for families and for entire communities, what percentage of the bag do we own? That is all that we care about. And one of the reasons that we're talking about ourselves as the pit crew is that if you're going to do change like that, if you're going to focus on ownership and who really owns the machinery, then you have to have a pit crew. And that's us. We're not the race car. We are in the pit, working and doing the dirty work of making sure that the race cars not only get across the finish line, but get across the finish line safe and first and win.
And that's actually quite radical, because you're talking about competing with the big boys at this point. It's one thing if you're just trying to put the representation in place and, oh, we've got a black woman to add to the board. Yay, everybody feels good about that. You're talking about having the black woman not only own, but then also being a really staunch competitor. What kind of feedback have you been getting about all of this?
We've been getting really positive feedback. If you look at the coalition, we have a coalition of 23 and even people beyond that that have been quietly helping in the background and who are going to be rolling out partnerships and joint ventures with us over the coming months. We have a coalition of people that come from every possible industry, from design to entertainment. We have, every culture, every ethnicity represented. I mean, my business partners are the first Native American to own an investment bank in the United States, the South Asian who ran tech for Rockefeller, a legend African American that, if you are in the space and you are successful in finance, he probably mentored you. I'm surrounded by legends who probably are the reason that we're not worried about diversity within the ranks. But at the end of the day, the reaction has been nothing but excitement, because at the end of the day, I also think that there's a lot of ego in this industry. People want to be the ones on the front of the cover. People want to be the ones, at the voice of the conversation. But who's in the background making sure that you're successful? Who is the pit crew powering those race cars, right? And at the end of the day, for us, that's it. That's us. We want to focus on making sure that we're winning. And sometimes that means doing the tedious, day-to-day work of making sure that companies survive and that founders thrive.
Nathalie Molina Niño, you have assembled a powerhouse pit crew, which is just amazing in and of itself. Co-founder at Known Holdings. We're excited to see all that you all do and to have you back to talk more about it. Thank you so much for being here.